We back. Mafia Material Mobcast, episode 64. Bouncing like a sick foe. Uh, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that notification bell. Help the channel. So before we go, since we in the courts with it, niggas got state cases with federal agencies having to track them down. We got civil cases. We got a federal drug case. So I figured I would break down the Fed versus the states for y'all. Yeah, we're going to get into Fed versus the state, Mobcast Law Edition. Should have put Pat Pooch back there in the law locker. Yeah, that would have been fire. Oh, man. So, let me put y'all on over that shit, right? So, it's your favorite Mobcast counselor, you know what I'm saying, back again. We talk about the streets, we talk about the culture, the hustle. But today we got to talk about, the paperwork. I get a lot of questions all the time, like, yo, what's the difference if, niggas caught by the boys in blue versus the feds, right? So pull up a chair, sit in front of the desk. And we're going to break down, state versus federal and why some cases go from local heat to a federal blizzard, nigga. Right? So the volume versus the venue. The first thing you got to understand is scale, right? The state is the everyday grind. You know what I'm saying? We're talking over 1 million drug arrests a year at the local level. Most of that possession, small time distribution. If you're moving around, look, moving around my, Staten Island or whatever, with a little something in your pocket, dealing with, the district attorney and the local precinct. You know what I'm saying? But the feds, they aren't looking for, the guy on the corner. Not always. Sometimes they do, like depending on what the fuck you got going on that corner. You know what I mean? Because they've indicted corners. You know what I mean? But the Fed made fewer than 100,000 total arrests in 2022 across the whole country. All right? They are the elite squad. Like, if the state is the minor league, the federal system is the NBA finals, nigga. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you made it. They only play when the stakes are high. And when they kind of know that they can win. Now, you talk about the pickup, right? Like how shit go from, like how did the case go from state charge to being, picked up by the U.S. attorneys? It's all about the 3 C's: crossing state lines, chemicals, and conspiracy, nigga. Crossing lines like, you moving weight from Miami to NYC. You just crossed multiple state lines and shit. That's federal jurisdiction under the Controlled Substance Act, right? And the quantity is a role too. Caught with 5 keys of cocaine, the state might want you, but the DEA is definitely gonna adopt that case. You know what I'm saying? Large quantities trigger mandatory minimums and all that shit. Now conspiracy, like, in the Feds, like, you don't even have to be the one holding the bag. If you're the organizer, the one making the calls while the drivers do the work, they'll charge the whole fucking enterprise, nigga. You in that shit. All right. Now the penalty phase is like this. This is where it gets, scary for some niggas. So we're gonna look at the scoreboard. Like when it comes down to sentencing, the state got like a little more wiggle room because the judges have discretion and all of this other shit. Like, so they can kind of, go above without no safety valve, all of this other shit. With the federal, like now they do have mandatory minimums in the state. But like I said, it's wiggle room, like they're flexible. The judge had the discretion to go below the mandatory minimum without like a Rule 35 or anything of that nature, or a safety valve or anything of that nature. Right. Now, the feds have the mandatory minimum, and the math is like, real rigid. You know what I'm saying? Because they have a point system that they go by, like depending on what your criminal history is, the nature of the offense. So like it's a lot of shit that plays into that. Parole. Now most states have parole. You know what I mean? Do 50 to 70% of your time, you might see home, nigga. Now the feds, they don't have like a parole board process. Like they do have a probation, like, cause they don't even call it federal parole. Like they call it federal probation. You know what I'm saying? But it's not really structured like, with the board. Like you're gonna do 85% of your time, period. Like, you understand? Like that's it. Now, when it comes down to conviction rates, the state has, pretty high conviction rate, but the lawyers can negotiate sweetheart deals in the state. Like you'd be surprised at the shit that you could like on the state level, like if you got a bag, like if you doing some big dope boy shit and the feds ain't on you yet, like you'd be surprised the shit that you can pull off in the state. Your ass will really start feeling like you John Gotti out this bitch. You know what I'm saying? With the feds, man, it's like shit, 95% plus. Like if they indict your ass, they usually already have the win. Like they've already figured out how to connect your ass, and shit. And don't forget about the dual sovereignty. You know what I'm saying? That's the double jeopardy loophole. Like the state can try you, and the feds can still come after you for the same crime because, they're separate sovereigns and all of that shit. You know what I mean? Like that's how niggas get superseded. And like this is what I told y'all when I was talking about my case, like, statute of limitations up, I did my time and all that shit. But like I was so spooked, like because that shit went through a lot of like, you know what I mean? I kind of moved around a lot, like throughout not just up but like the tri-state. So like that shit was a little, you know what I mean? That shit was a little spooky. But once everything, smooth, like that's why I just like when they started talking like they had some sense on the state, like I just took that time, nigga got the fuck about the way. For real, you know what I'm saying? Now, you gotta talk about the enforcers, right? Who's knocking at the door? 6 a.m. police at my door. It was really 6:45 for me, but if it's the DEA, they have one mission: drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like they're dismantling cartels and stopping, the flow. But if the FBI shows up, now it's bigger. You know what I'm saying? Because they're looking at money laundering, racketeering, and how that drug money is tied to other enterprises and shit like that. And they use that enterprise theory, they want the whole tree, nigga, not just the leaves. They want all that shit, The bottom line is the state is a shark, you know what I'm saying? But the feds, that shit's like a megalodon, nigga. You know what I'm saying? One has more teeth, but the other has a bigger mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, and So, know the difference, man. And if you out here, keep your nose clean, like, but if you can't keep your nose clean, at least know the difference. And if this help you understand the game a little better, smash that like button, man. And if you want me to dive deeper into how conspiracy charges actually work, and if you want me to tell you or give you some scenarios of loopholes of how to potentially beat a conspiracy or fight one at least, let me know in the comments and shit, man. Hit that like and subscribe button. I think y'all will be surprised to find out how much I know about some shit. You know what I'm saying? My first career goal, I wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah, I wanted to be Matlock like a motherfucker, nigga. But instead, ended up paying some lawyers instead, and in exchange, shared a little wisdom with me. You know what I'm saying? One of the first lawyers I ever paid for, he told me something that was crazy. He said, I said, damn, I can't believe I got away with that. He said, justice is a luxury reserved for those who can afford it. I never forgot that shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the spill, man. Fed versus the state. Mobcast Law Edition. Hope y'all enjoyed that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, dog. Mafia Material Mobcast episode 64. That's pretty much our show for the day. Spent the day in court. This week, we've been mobsters, airplane pilots, bank robbers. Oh, man. Yeah, we'll see what the hell tomorrow brings and shit like that, man. Hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that notification bell if you're really mobbing with the content. And as always, stay dangerous so you can be safe. Especially if you're out here riding dirty across state lines or, moving weight in the state. Or if you're trying to sue an elusive bitch. Out here ducking process servers and shit. Whatever the case may be, man. You know what I'm saying? Stay dangerous so you can be safe. It's your boy Daalight, my bro host World Pest. We out of here.